Hello, everybody. I'm Namita Thapar, Executive Director of MCure Pharmaceuticals. Welcome to another episode of Uncondition Yourself. Today, we'll be talking about a topic that is very close to my heart, body shaming. To share some statistics with you, 35% of adults go through some sort of depression or anxiety when it comes to their body image. 40% of teenagers, when they look at social media images, go through some form of stress again pertaining to their body image. And so today, to address this very, very important topic that needs to be spoken about openly, we have one of my favorite movie stars, Vidya Balan. Vidya, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure entirely. Thanks, Namita.
And this is a topic very close to my heart because I think all of us girls, some social conditioning, some whatever societal biases, go through body shaming, go through some form of anxiety at some point in their lives. Body shaming happens at different stages of a woman's life. And I want to start with your childhood. And at what point did you experience it? And did it impact your self-esteem while growing up?
You know, growing up, when I was a little kid, everyone said, oh, so cute, she's so chubby. So I thought it was a good thing. You know,
True.
You don't realize because everyone's pulling your cheeks and giving you so much attention and you feel that, oh, it's all great. I know my mother was always worried about my weight.
Right.
I must have been, I don't know, early school, primary school maybe, and she would go for walks at 5 a.m. and she would drag me sometimes.
Okay.
And I thought that was brutal and I think I was angry with her for the longest
How old were
time.
you?
I can't remember the exact age, but early years.
Okay.
And I thought she was being really mean to me. So I think I started hating my body then.
Okay.
Because I felt like I had to put myself through torture. Actually, my mom grew up a fat girl.
Okay.
I think, and you know, mothers are always protective of their children. So when she saw me being fat, I think she got worried that I would be judged the way she felt judged.
Right.
It's a natural instinct. Today, I understand that. Slowly, as I became a teenager, you know, I didn't get attention from boys because I was a fat girl. Even when I got attention, I didn't get attention from the boys I wanted attention from. And I always thought that was because of my body. Whether or not it was, I don't know. You know, but everything came back to the body for me. Because there would be people who tell me that, oh, you've got such a beautiful face, why don't you lose some weight? People would say, you don't look like you enjoy exercise at all. And do you know, Namita, I am someone who works out dedicatedly and have forever. And initially, I would try and reason with people and say, you know, no, I do work out. Then after a while, I started getting angry. And I just didn't feel the need to justify myself because I was like, it's none of your business whether I exercise or I don't exercise, what size I am, or, you know, you couldn't be more concerned about me than I am.
Right.
So just shut your trap, you know. And people would tell me, oh, you know, you should definitely not eat, for example, biscuits. Biscuits have a lot of trans fat and always being given unsolicited advice, which I didn't appreciate. I remember at the age of 19, Namita, someone told me that if you have a lot of water, then your skin clears up because I had some pimples.
Right.
So I started having a lot of water and I realized that, you know, I was losing weight. So I started having 10 liters of water.
Oh my God.
On a regular
That's a lot
basis.
of water.
Yeah, and I started puking on a regular basis. And then my mother and my sister, you know, they realized there was something wrong and they said, what the hell are you doing? I would get giddy and I would feel unwell. And then the next day I'd bloat.
Right.
I went through these crash diets and sometimes I'd be working out in the gym for 2 hours, 45 minutes, 3 hours doing cardio and weights, the entire routine every single day just to lose weight. And then you know, my hemoglobin would drop because obviously that much of exercise was putting too much pressure on my system. I was falling sick and then I'd have to give up on exercise for a while. And I faced rejection down south in my initial years. You know, I don't know what it was about, but I always felt it was because I was fat. Even when I was at my thinnest, I felt fat.
Oof.
And I felt that was my biggest curse. We have to realize that, which I have over time,
Right.
that firstly, no one is perfect. And secondly, there are different body types. You know, there is not one desirable body type. Today, I can tell you that I'm in the best health I've been in my life, touch
on
wood,
wood.
and I feel the fittest. And that's been for a couple of years now. But that's because I eat without guilt.
Right.
I sleep well.
Right.
Previously, anxiety would not let me sleep. And thirdly, I know that today my body is this way, tomorrow it will be another,
Right.
size maybe. And that's absolutely fine. That doesn't change who I am.
Very true. So
Yeah.
just getting in that positive mindset
Yeah.
completely transformed the way you thought about life in general, probably made you more productive and a happier person too.
Oh, happier person for sure, more self-assured. You just, you allow life to surprise you. You allow yourself to be happy when you disengage from something that is a chronic issue.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
my weight seemed to be a chronic issue for me. When I accepted my body the way it is, which has happened over time, by the way.
How did you learn to love and accept yourself for who you are?
I entered the movies in 2005, and around 2008, I began to be criticized very heavily for my weight. There were times when I'd open the paper and I'd feel like, I could be. I could be blamed for a national issue, really. It almost seemed like people were waiting to, say something nasty about me at that point. Of course, I think that's because also, I took it very seriously. Because again, it was about the body, you see.
Right.
It was, dukti rath pe kisi ne haath rakh diya, to it's unbearable. So I think it became very big in my head. I began to feel I wanted to be invisible.
And this is in spite of winning so many awards, national awards, Padma Shri.
that
People didn't
happened-
look at the substance, they were looking more at the...
all that happened later.
Okay.
This was in 2008 when none of that had happened yet. So like I told you, two of the films did well, Hey Baby and Kismat Connection. But
Right.
people were obviously, not just criticizing me. I think they were ridiculing me. I felt humiliated at certain award functions. And I just thought it was in terrible taste. But it really, I think it, for a while, it damaged very severely some part of me.
Okay.
And around that time, I remember there were days when I didn't want to get out of bed.
Right.
I think I was just feeling very low. I was feeling worthless. I thought maybe, my career is not going to work out because I'm not good enough. Everything in my life seems to be going wrong because of my weight. So again, yes, around that time, I worked really hard and lost weight, and eventually, of course, I fell sick. That was the vicious cycle.
Right.
It had to
Was it
happen.
again because of anemia?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So you overworked out, it led to anemia. And then
Always.
that's what,
And then, I was also told I have PCOD.
Right.
I'm not sure I had PCOD. Maybe I did because, I don't know if PCOD disappears over time or can be corrected completely. But I don't have it any longer.
Okay.
Touch wood. But what happened is outside I was putting up a brave face. I was smiling and doing what needed to be done. But within, I think it was affecting me. So if there was a problem, if there was a hormonal issue, I think it was getting aggravated by this.
With the stress.
Constant judgment.
Right.
With this stress. And suddenly, around the Dirty Picture shoot, I began to put on a lot of weight. Again, something had gone wrong with my hormones. And we couldn't figure why. It was, I don't know whether it was psychosomatic or what, but
Right.
it was, I'd obviously ballooned. And then it was quite amazing, Namita, that I would balloon and then I would shrink, and I would balloon and I
So it
would
was like
shrink.
a yo-yo kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it was crazy. It's inexplicable. I've been to all the possible doctors across the city, I
So
think.
the
and tried-
ballooning wasn't because of overeating.
No, never.
And you were working out. So you were working out, you weren't overeating, but just the stress
Yeah.
induced.
But I have to say that I wouldn't sleep much.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't sleep much because I think I was probably going through constant anxiety and I
Yes.
wasn't aware of it. So the shoot happened and everything, but obviously there was, it worked to my advantage because there was a certain looseness to my body,
Okay.
which worked very well for the film, for the parts of the film where I needed to look
Of course, you
bigger.
were extremely sexy in that movie. You
Thank
probably
you.
didn't feel it, but the whole
No, I
world
actually
felt it.
No, but you know what's amazing is that I did it because
Yeah.
I loved the fact that someone wanted to cast me as Silk, so different from who I am and the kind of roles that I'd been
Yes.
doing. And then, you know, for people to have appreciated the film the way they did, and
Right.
for people to have, at my biggest, I actually got told that I was the sexiest.
Yes.
That changed something. That flipped something for me. You know, I think that's when I began to feel sexy in my bigness for the first time in my life.
Right.
It's another story that Siddharth also came into my life at that time.
I'm sure that helped.
Yeah, more than help.
Right.
But I think most importantly, that was the beginning of my changing relationship with my body.
Right.
There are times when I still catch myself feeling like something could have been happening in my life because my body is feeling bigger today.
Right.
Something's going wrong because my body is feeling bigger. You know, because I've lived with this for so long. But I think it's so liberating to reach the stage I have because I have more good than bad days.
So, Vidya, tell us about your experience with the healer and how he helped you.
She actually.
Oh, she.
Yeah. I've been working with her for 10 years now. It was again around the dirty picture that my mother introduced me to Nidhu, my healer. It's almost like therapy.
Okay.
So I talk about what I'm feeling.
Right.
And it's amazing how sometimes in the most obtuse ways, you know, what you're saying leads back to a very deep-seated issue you might have.
Right.
In my case, a lot of it to do with my weight. But it's also, she gives you tools, you know, for example, not just affirmations of course, but various ways in which you change the way you think.
Okay.
And therefore you change the way you feel, and therefore you change the way you are.
Got it.
I changed the way I was with my body. I began to realize that the body is the only thing that's keeping me alive. The day this body gives up,
Right.
I'm not going to be around anymore. So the least I can do is give gratitude for it. Today, I also know when, for example, I bloat or I have water retention, I know what's caused it.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's the food, sometimes it's stress, sometimes it's, you know, the weather, it's travel, it could be anything. But today I'm able to make that connection and say, okay, this is what is happening. And almost like watching myself from the outside.
But that's important, you know. So, you know, for example, I have a good friend who introduced me to a homeopathy principle where it says like cures like.
Right.
So, for example, if you're feeling really low, you look at a photo of someone who's in a way worse of situation than you.
Right.
And then somehow like cures like, and you feel, oh my God, my problem is so stupid.
Right.
And that gives you what you said, most importantly,
Perspective.
gratitude and
Yeah.
perspective. So that's my pick me up
Right.
when I'm feeling low. And I feel low a lot and I tend to emotionally eat and reach for that sugar. So this like cures like really helps me.
Right.
So you mentioned you have bad days as well, more good days than bad.
Yeah.
But healer is, of course, a very great option, someone you can reach out to. But what are your, other than the affirmations, what are the other strategies where you help yourself heal all by yourself and just get out of that situation?
You know, it's never one thing. I've realized that the best thing to do is not deny yourself what you're feeling.
Okay.
You know, not to say that, of course, I'm a very positive person and I sometimes feel I'm hopelessly optimistic, but today, if I'm feeling low, if I'm feeling bad, if I'm feeling scared, if I'm feeling insecure, if I'm feeling jealous, I accept that to myself. And that itself, I think that's why I give so much credence to my healing work, you know, because it's helped me be honest with myself. So I look at myself and I say, okay, this is what is happening. Just go through with it. It will pass.
Right.
Because nothing stays, nothing's permanent. Just sometimes saying, how can this get any better?
Right.
Changes the way you look at a situation.
Right.
You know, it throws up options or it throws up possibilities in front of you. And sometimes, yeah, I indulge in emotional eating.
Right.
Sometimes I sleep a lot. Sometimes I just don't feel like doing anything.
But you give yourself the permission
Yeah.
to do it without guilt.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Absolutely. It's not like I'm extra hungry today, but there is some part of me that's feeling empty, which I'm trying to fill with the food.
Yes,
So
yes.
I think this journey has been fascinating,
Mm-hmm.
Namita. It's, if you ask me if I'd go through it, again the same way, or would I want to change it? I'd say I'd want to go through it the same way, because I love where I've reached today.
Right.
Emotionally, mentally, physically, in every way.
One of the questions I've had is, in spite of being in this industry, the social media glare all over you, how did you find the courage to speak up? It's one thing to work on healing yourself. It's another thing to come out publicly and speak about these very difficult moments in your life. How did you find the courage?
I actually don't think they're two different things, because I
Okay.
just feel that now that I'm completely accepting of myself, on most days, like I said, or at most times, I'm unafraid to be myself.
Right.
I don't care about being judged. I just feel that I've really reached a stage where no disrespect meant, but I do what I want to do,
Right.
what makes me happy, and I'm my first priority. I'm the center of my universe. And yeah, it's worked for me. I'm telling you, I'm so much happier since I've begun to eat whatever I want to eat.
Right.
And without guilt. And trust me, when you eat without guilt, you don't put on weight.
But Vidya, what do we do in our country to change the way people think? Like, you've obviously evolved to a level where you look for happiness within.
Yeah.
Right? But there are so many teenagers, and it's getting worse by the day. There's absolute paranoia. There are kids sinking into depression because of body image issues. How do we correct this in our country? I mean, of course, women speaking up like you are makes a big difference, but what else can be done?
I think we have to all realize what I realized a few years ago,
Yeah.
that each one of us is unique. Each one of us, therefore, has a different body type.
Right.
Different facial features, different skin color, hair texture, height, everything, and that should be celebrated. I'm not saying let yourself be obese, because obesity is a disease.
Right.
And then, whatever help you need to sort that out, you need. I'm not, like someone turned around and said, but, are you encouraging people to be obese? If they are, then, are you saying it's okay? And I'm saying no, because that will impact your health. But do whatever it takes to be healthy, keep fit. But if there is beyond that, I think you have to realize that this is my body. For example, I can't change the structure of my body, whatever I do. Even if I stood on my head for, a month at a stretch, that's not
Right.
going to happen.
Right.
Also, children learn through example.
Yes, that's
So
true.
if you are not comfortable with your body, but you want your daughter or your son to be comfortable, they're not going to be comfortable
That's so
unless that's what
important.
they see.
That's so
So,
important.
it's I think it's most important that you really practice that,
Yeah.
that you live that truth. When children see you being so conscious while you're taking a selfie,
Yeah.
they are going to realize that, unless it's perfect, because you're doing 30 selfies before
Till you
put
get
it
that
out.
perfect one.
So they're obviously going to think that they don't know that perfection is an illusion.
Right.
And it is going to elude them for the rest of their lives, because
Right.
it does not exist.
Right.
And I have to tell you that in this journey, when you're faking it till you make it, there are challenges that show up. It becomes all the more difficult for you to accept yourself and to love yourself, because you're being pushed to do that, right?
Right.
So it'll throw up things that you're most uncomfortable with. But it's, however tough it is, just go through with it, because there is sunshine on the other side.
Oh, totally. And all I'd like to say, Vidya, is you have no idea, by speaking up, you have inspired so many young girls, so many women across to start on their journeys
Right.
of accepting themselves. Right.
I'll be thrilled if I even know that, one person has been impacted by what I've said, if it's given them some hope, if it's allowed them to see themselves differently and realize that you are not the body. You are you. But yes, the body is what keeps you alive.
Absolutely. And at some point, with all your flaws, learning to accept that there's a word called flossom. I just came across that word.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, you're flossom. You know, like you have all these flaws and you still find yourself awesome.
Awesome.
Right?
Oh my God, I love that
I just love
word.
that word. Vidya, thank you so much for your courage, your candor, your authenticity that has truly inspired me and so many women who are watching this show. Truly grateful, Vidya.
No, thank you for your thank you.
Okay.
No, and thank you for, I've
Yeah.
enjoyed this conversation, you know, and more power to you because you've really had a very, like you said, not an easy journey, but you've also crossed over to the brighter side.
Absolutely. And there is a brighter side.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right?
there
and
is.
we hope, not in their 40s, but other women discover their brighter side much earlier.
Yes.
Because otherwise you're wasting
but it's never
those
too
years.
late. But it's never too late. and I
then-
love the name of your show, by the way.
Uncondition yourself,
Uncondition
right? It's
yourself.
so important because it's all childhood conditioning.